Evelyn Clark carefully adjusted the baby's blanket, the soft pink fabric wrapped snugly around her newborn daughter. The scent of the baby's skin, the gentle coos, and the rhythmic rise and fall of her tiny chest filled Evelyn with a profound sense of love and purpose. Her husband, Adrian Clark, a self-made millionaire known for his sharp business acumen and commanding presence, moved through their opulent penthouse with a distracted air. The walls were adorned with priceless artwork, crystal chandeliers shimmered overhead, and the city lights below painted the room in hues of gold and silver. Their life was enviable, a seamless combination of wealth, sophistication, and the appearance of domestic bliss. Yet beneath the surface of luxury, Evelyn sensed fissures forming in the marriage she had always cherished. Adrian's nights grew longer, often extending well past dinner, his absences punctuated by hushed phone calls and cryptic messages. When he returned, he seemed distant, his eyes not fully present, his attention divided. Evelyn's heart ached, a quiet, persistent unease gnawing at her. She wanted to believe that these were the stresses of business, that his love for her and the baby was unwavering. Still, a shadow of doubt lingered, subtle but undeniable, hinting at secrets Adrian had not yet shared, fissures that luxury and appearances could not hide. Despite the tension, Evelyn devoted herself fully to her daughter and to preserving what remained of her family's closeness. Every smile, every gentle touch, every whisper of affection was a thread holding their fragile family together. But somewhere in the shadows, someone was watching, waiting for the perfect moment to exploit their vulnerabilities and dismantle the happiness Evelyn held so dearly. Vanessa Hale moved with calculated grace, a woman whose beauty and intellect masked an ambition as sharp as a scalpel. From the moment she identified Adrian Clark as a man vulnerable to flattery and desire, she devised a plan to worm her way into his life. She understood his weaknesses, ego, pride, and a longing for adoration, and she wielded her charm strategically, ensuring that every interaction subtly pulled him closer into her orbit and further from Evelyn. Her manipulation was psychological, layered, and relentless. Vanessa positioned herself as the only person who could truly understand Adrian, carefully planting doubts about Evelyn's dedication and framing every concern as limitation or overreaction. "She's too absorbed in the baby," she would whisper, planting a seed of resentment that would grow unseen. Each carefully chosen compliment and sly encouragement made Adrian emotionally dependent on her attention, shaping his perception and eroding the foundation of his marriage. Vanessa's ambition extended beyond romantic conquest. She aimed to dismantle the family structure itself. By controlling Adrian's decisions and feeding him selective truths, she sought to become the central figure in his life, one step ahead of Evelyn at all times. Her presence was a slow poison, invisible to all but those who looked carefully, as she wove her influence into the very fabric of their lives. Every interaction, every glance, every carefully timed message was a strategic move in a game designed to claim not just Adrian, but his entire family, as her own. Evelyn's instincts began to prick with unease. She noticed the way Adrian flinched at certain questions, how his phone buzzed with messages he quickly concealed, and how his absences seemed longer and more frequent. Conversations that had once been open and honest now ended with vague assurances or irritation, leaving her with more questions than answers. Each unexplained moment, each evasive answer, deepened the tension in their home. Despite her rising suspicion, Evelyn clung to hope. She believed that the newborn's presence, the laughter and joy of the child, would draw Adrian back to her, reminding him of the love that had once bound them. She threw herself into the care of the baby, cherishing every milestone and reveling in the small moments of closeness that still existed. Meanwhile, Vanessa's influence tightened like an invisible grip. She continued to manipulate Adrian's perceptions, encouraging him to distance himself emotionally from Evelyn. Every decision he made began to favor the mistress, every neglected call and delayed response deepening the chasm between husband and wife. Evelyn's awareness of the subtle shifts left her anxious yet determined, unaware of how intricately Vanessa's web was woven around her family, preparing for a moment that would soon shatter the life she had fought to preserve. Adrian Clark lounged in Vanessa Hale's high-rise apartment, the dim city lights casting a seductive glow over the room. He allowed himself to indulge in the escape, the thrill of secrecy and forbidden passion pulling him further from reality. Vanessa moved with ease, her every word and gesture designed to captivate him, to erode the moral boundaries he had once considered unbreakable. Laughter, whispered promises, and the intoxicating allure of desire filled the night, while outside the walls of that apartment, the life Adrian had built with Evelyn waited, unseen, neglected, and vulnerable. Meanwhile, back at their penthouse, Evelyn was immersed in the quiet, tender chaos of newborn care. She cradled their daughter in her arms, humming softly as she soothed the infant through feeding and changing, her body exhausted from the demands of motherhood but her heart full with love. The baby's gentle coos and tiny movements reminded her of the joy she had fought so hard to protect. Yet, as she glanced at the empty chair where Adrian usually sat, a flicker of unease crossed her mind. Something felt off, though she dismissed it in favor of focusing on the baby, trusting that her husband would return as always. The contrast between the two worlds could not have been starker. One room pulsed with deceit and indulgence, the other with devotion and the fragile bond between mother and child. In the quiet of the penthouse, the shadows seemed to lengthen, foreshadowing danger lurking just beyond sight. Adrian's choices that night would become the fulcrum upon which the rest of their lives teetered, a decision whose consequences would ripple far beyond the moment, and Evelyn's vigilance, love, and innocence would soon be tested in ways she could never have imagined. Adrian arrived home in the early morning, the thrill of the night still lingering in his veins. He expected the familiar warmth, the coos of his baby, and the sight of Evelyn smiling tiredly at him. Instead, silence greeted him. The grand penthouse, usually alive with the sounds of life and laughter, was eerily quiet. He called out, "Evelyn? Baby?" His voice echoed through the vast rooms, bouncing off the walls with no response. Panic gripped him as he moved through each space, bedroom, nursery, living room. Every corner he turned revealed nothing, the crib empty, blankets neatly folded, personal items untouched but devoid of their presence. Fear began to coil in his stomach, growing tighter with every unanswered call. Adrian's mind raced, flipping between worst-case scenarios in disbelief. How could they simply vanish? The adrenaline surged, his breath shallow and rapid. As the reality began to sink in, something was deeply wrong. Desperation mounted. He frantically searched closets, bathrooms, and even the elevator lobby, calling their names repeatedly, voice cracking with mounting dread. His hands trembled as he dialed numbers, hoping for an answer, but none came. The penthouse, once a sanctuary of luxury and love, had transformed into a chamber of horror and uncertainty. Every passing moment intensified the fear that he had lost Evelyn and their newborn, and for the first time, Adrian understood that his choices, the nights of indulgence, the divided attention, the neglect, might have opened the door to a tragedy he could not yet comprehend. Vanessa Hale's role in the disappearance was calculated, cold, and precise. She had anticipated Adrian's absence and exploited it flawlessly, ensuring the timing aligned with her plans. While he indulged in selfish desires, Vanessa coordinated every detail, arranging transport, bypassing security protocols, and enlisting assistance to remove Evelyn and the baby from the apartment unnoticed. Her manipulation extended beyond logistics. She had sown seeds of distraction and delay, ensuring Adrian would remain oblivious until the plan was complete. Her cunning was evident in every step. She left no trace of her movements, erased digital footprints, and projected the appearance of normalcy to the outside world. The audacity of her cruelty lay not only in abducting the newborn and mother but in the psychological torment she inflicted on Adrian by making him the unwitting instrument of his own family's disappearance. Vanessa's actions revealed a meticulous mind driven by ambition, obsession, and malice, willing to dismantle the life of another to claim what she desired most. The reality of her calculated betrayal now hung over Adrian, a chilling reminder of how deeply trust can be violated when deception is intertwined with desire. Jonathan West slammed the door of his private study, the echo reverberating off the polished mahogany walls. His daughter, Evelyn, and her newborn had vanished, and every instinct within him screamed that time was critical. As a self-made billionaire, Jonathan had long navigated high-stakes corporate battles and delicate negotiations, but this was personal. Fury burned in his chest, a mixture of paternal protection and righteous anger that left no room for hesitation. Within hours, Jonathan mobilized every resource at his disposal. Security teams were dispatched to surveil the Clark residence, the surrounding streets, and potential escape routes. Private investigators, experts in tracking high-profile targets, were briefed with meticulous detail. Every movement Adrian had made in the past 48 hours, every known associate of Vanessa Hale, and even the smallest anomalies in digital communications. Legal contacts were activated to secure emergency warrants, ensuring that no bureaucratic delay could hinder the hunt. Jonathan's approach was methodical, each step calculated, each lead pursued relentlessly. Despite his wealth and influence, Jonathan operated with a quiet urgency, knowing that lives were at stake. Every phone call he made, every brief he received, only intensified his resolve. He did not just want his daughter and grandchild found, he intended to reclaim them safely and ensure that Vanessa would face the full weight of justice. Every second counted, and Jonathan's mind raced through contingencies, backup plans, and potential traps. The fire in his eyes was matched only by the unwavering determination that nothing, and no one, would prevent him from bringing Evelyn and her baby home. Jonathan's investigative team began with digital footprints, analyzing phone records, GPS data, and social media activity. Financial transactions revealed subtle clues, hotel bookings, unregistered payments, and unusual withdrawals pointing toward Vanessa's movements. Witnesses were questioned, neighbors, cab drivers, and hotel staff, each conversation a piece of the complex puzzle. Surveillance cameras were checked across the city, feeding hours of footage that revealed fleeting glimpses of a figure matching Vanessa's description. Each lead heightened the tension. Agents narrowly missed encounters as Vanessa, ever cunning, changed vehicles, avoided predictable routes, and created distractions to throw pursuers off track. Jonathan oversaw operations personally, coordinating teams with precision and ensuring that no detail was overlooked. The network Vanessa had built to shield herself was extensive, but every clever maneuver left subtle traces that Jonathan's experts could follow. Suspense mounted with each step, the threat to Evelyn and her child never far from the minds of everyone involved. As days passed, the investigation revealed Vanessa's patterns, a reliance on temporary safe houses, manipulation of service workers, and an intricate web of contacts used to obscure her path. Close calls, the sight of her silhouette in an alley, a missed phone signal, kept the team on edge, heightening the sense of urgency. Jonathan's relentless scrutiny and meticulous approach slowly began to unravel Vanessa's defenses, proving that determination, resources, and intellect could outmatch even the most calculated schemes. Inside a dim, unfamiliar apartment, Evelyn clutched her newborn tightly, rocking the baby gently as tears streaked her exhausted face. Fear coursed through her veins, but she focused every ounce of energy on protecting the child from the relentless cruelty of their captor. She whispered calming words, sang lullabies, and created tiny routines, small acts of normalcy that shielded the baby from terror and offered her motherly courage a semblance of control. Meanwhile, Adrian's world crumbled with each passing hour. Guilt gnawed at him, knowing that his choices, the infidelity, the neglect, the selfish indulgence, had led directly to his family's disappearance. He reached out to authorities, hired experts, and scoured every possible lead, yet the emotional chasm Vanessa had created left him paralyzed with frustration. Every phone call unanswered, every clue leading to dead ends, intensified his desperation. The contrast between Evelyn's resilience and his own helplessness tormented him, revealing the true cost of betrayal and the depth of emotional distance that had allowed this crisis to unfold. The breakthrough came when analysts traced a series of encrypted messages Vanessa had carelessly sent from a burner phone. Each digital footprint, though subtle, formed a map pointing to one of her temporary hideouts. Jonathan's team moved swiftly, coordinating multiple surveillance units to monitor the location without alerting Vanessa. Tension crackled through the air as agents waited for the perfect moment to strike, knowing that any misstep could endanger Evelyn and the baby. Vanessa's paranoia began to manifest in erratic behavior. She frequently changed safe houses, altered her appearance, and avoided predictable patterns. She scrutinized every noise, double-checked every lock, and even sent false leads to mislead anyone who might be tracking her. The team experienced several close calls. Agents glimpsed her in a crowded street only for her to vanish into an alley, and security cameras captured fleeting shadows that required hours of painstaking analysis. Each near capture heightened both the danger and the adrenaline, emphasizing how cunning and desperate she had become. Jonathan refused to allow frustration or fear to slow the operation. He oversaw every move, adjusting strategies in real time, coordinating with law enforcement, and ensuring backup units were ready at every turn. As the investigation tightened, the net around Vanessa closed. The tension was almost unbearable, each passing moment a countdown toward either success or disaster. Finally, the convergence of evidence, surveillance, and careful planning left Vanessa cornered, her options exhausted, and her paranoia consuming her. The relentless pursuit of justice had brought them to the precipice of resolution, the suspense electric as the moment of confrontation approached. The rescue was executed with precision. Teams stormed the safe house, moving swiftly but carefully to avoid alarming Vanessa or endangering Evelyn and her baby. Evelyn, startled but aware that help had arrived, clutched her newborn protectively as the door burst open. Relief flooded her face as Jonathan and his team rushed in, scooping her and the child into safe, protective arms. Tears streamed freely as the weight of fear and anxiety lifted, replaced by the warmth of safety and family unity. Adrian arrived shortly afterward, his face pale with shock and guilt. Seeing Evelyn unharmed, yet realizing the true consequences of his betrayal, he confronted the devastation his choices had wrought. He reached toward Evelyn, his apology choking in his throat, but she remained cautious, the trauma and the lessons of his absence evident in her guarded eyes. The baby, oblivious to the surrounding tension, nestled safely in Evelyn's arms, the symbol of innocence and the reason for the unwavering fight to bring them home. Vanessa Hale's capture marked the end of her reign of terror. Legal proceedings were swift and public, highlighting her calculated schemes, the abduction, and the psychological torment inflicted on Evelyn and her child. Media outlets exposed her manipulations, and her reputation crumbled, leaving her humiliated and powerless. Jonathan ensured that the full force of the law held her accountable, bringing both satisfaction and justice to those affected. Adrian faced his own consequences, personal guilt, public scrutiny, and the undeniable estrangement from Evelyn and the child he had neglected. His actions had shattered trust, and he could no longer claim innocence or ignorance. The moral arc of justice had realigned, ensuring that cruelty and betrayal were met with appropriate repercussions. Evelyn emerged not only safe but vindicated, her family restored, and the forces that had sought to harm them rendered powerless. Vanessa's downfall and Adrian's reckoning stood as a testament to the triumph of accountability, perseverance, and unwavering parental protection. Evelyn sat in the sunlit nursery, the soft coos of her newborn filling the room as Jonathan quietly observed from the doorway. The months since the rescue had been a blur of medical appointments, therapy sessions, and legal proceedings, but finally, Evelyn began to feel a sense of control return. With Jonathan's unwavering support, she reconstructed not only the physical security of her home but also the emotional foundation she needed to nurture her child. The walls were no longer just luxurious, they were safe, filled with warmth, love, and routines that brought comfort to both mother and baby. Each day brought new milestones, the baby's first smile, the gentle recognition of Evelyn's voice, and the small triumphs that restored her confidence. Evelyn learned to trust herself again, to feel capable and resilient despite the trauma she had endured. Adrian attempted contact, his messages filled with apologies and offers of redemption, but Evelyn prioritized her healing and the baby's safety. His presence became peripheral, a reminder of the past rather than a part of the rebuilding process. Evelyn's focus remained steadfast, her child, her father's protection, and the reconstruction of a life disrupted by betrayal. The bond between Evelyn, her baby, and Jonathan deepened as the months progressed. They spent long afternoons together, laughter and gentle play filling the rooms that had once been haunted by fear. Evelyn's love for her child was matched by her gratitude for Jonathan's relentless determination and guidance. Together, they created routines that reinforced safety and stability, and every new day became a testament to resilience and family strength. The past, though never forgotten, no longer dictated the present. Evelyn confronted the memories of betrayal and loss with calm determination, using them as lessons rather than chains. The baby thrived, laughter echoing through the once tense hallways, a living symbol of triumph over adversity. Jonathan's presence provided unwavering support, a reminder that family could endure anything when united by love and resolve. Together, they were no longer victims, they were a family reclaimed, stronger and more cohesive than ever. Years later, Evelyn watched her child run across the sunlit garden, laughter ringing out in the warm afternoon air. The baby, now older and curious about the world, radiated joy and innocence untouched by the shadow of the past. Evelyn stood beside Jonathan, grateful for the unwavering support that had helped her survive, recover, and thrive. Adrian was a distant memory, a chapter of betrayal and lessons learned, while Vanessa's schemes were a cautionary tale of consequences. Reflecting on the journey, Evelyn realized that justice, perseverance, and love had restored what was once broken. Every challenge had been met with courage, every fear confronted with resilience, and every loss transformed into a lesson in strength. The family she had fought to protect now flourished, proof that even in the aftermath of deception, life could be rebuilt with care and determination. Looking at her child and her father, Evelyn whispered softly, a promise to herself and the universe, "They tried to steal our lives, but together, we reclaimed everything, and nothing can ever take that away."